Wanda. I'm a UX designer for a company called Sauce Lab. We do testing for automation, and I just live here, so I'm going to present.
Me? Hey, hi, I'm Jessie. Again, I work at Patient Pop as a UX researcher. Patient Pop's in Santa Monica. And what else do? I organize events on the side, such as World AI Day, and then I also help out with San Gabriel Valley UX.
Do we want to proceed? Yeah, let's just proceed, right? Okay, so that's Dark UX. So what is Dark UX? It's when a design pushes you into a direction that you don't want to take. Sometimes, you probably wonder if we do it on purpose. Yes, we do it on purpose. And do we want to do it? No, we don't want to do it, but sometimes the business makes you do it. Anything else?
Yeah, sometimes different priorities happen. What's a priority for the user versus what's a priority for the business and their ventures? And a lot of times that can cause confliction. But as a UX designer or researcher, our job is to advocate for the actual users. And sometimes we don't win those debates, but we should always make an attempt.
Okay. So here are some types of dark UX patterns that basically darkpatterns.org identified. You can kind of go through all of them. Trick question. It's kind of like, yeah, just I was actually still remembering these two. It's a bit of misdirection, but Roche Motel is when they get you into a subscription you don't want to get into, like a place that's really kind of like if you.
So these are just types of dark patterns, but there are a lot of dark patterns out there, and a lot of the times these dark patterns are actually combined. It's actually kind of difficult to distinguish if a specific example is one dark pattern over another. They're combined to create misdirection for the user to engage in an action that they didn't want to do, or they had an anticipation it would do something else. It's a form of trickery, kind of like magicians.
There's probably more than this list, but these are just the ones that they identified. So we're gonna play a game now. Which one do you think this one is? We don't have to go through this list, but you can just tell us why it's like dark UX. So this scenario is like you just bought something.
Is there a way to make the screen bigger? Or is that as big as it gets?
As big as it gets. Come closer.
Yeah, we can gather around if you
Yeah,
want to participate.
You guys, just don't stop making me nervous.
It's like a yes please, no thanks button. That one's suspicious.
Yes, please, no thanks. Okay, why is it suspicious, Frank?
Every time I come across that, I feel like I'm supposed to click no thanks. Well, I mean, it sounds like they want me to click yes please, and that's usually like signing up for some spam letter or something bad that I don't want. But I can't read this tiny print, which makes it more suspicious because it's in tiny print. So it's probably trying to
under the button?
Up above the yes please. It's probably telling me some crap that I don't want, and then it's pushing me. It's like nudging me to click yes please, because that's like a nice bold button, and by default I would click yes please.
There's ad protection there in green.
Yeah.
You also see,
I almost clicked on that.
You see the terms and conditions like underlined, and usually it's like when terms and conditions shows up, it's like, oh, you have to accept them to move on. So you see that, and then you see the buttons, and you're like, oh, of course, yes, please accept. Get into the next thing.
Alright, what about this example?
Why is this 3?
That's not even the default, right? It just goes to select all.
Yeah, normally the button would mean like I just go forward with what I've selected here, but that selects it all and then goes forward. That's
Yeah.
the hell.
Oh, and then confirm
The
select.
only way to move
And you're giving
next,
them
the actual
all the
next
data.
is confirm
Oh,
Yeah,
select.
did anyone read what you are agreeing to up here? That it has defaulted you to agree to?
I'm actually curious about that.
What's wrong with that? It just gives me the option to download the app.
You're on your phone.
Unless you
Sometimes you
already
just
have
want to
it.
like browse for fun and just be a silent lurker, but you don't like to be a silent lurker.
Sometimes it's just
Also, I already have the app. Isn't even a button. It's just text.
Yeah, we also
You can't even tell that it's a link.
Yeah, it's like it's just big blue button and then nothing.
Yeah.
Well, can you tap out of the window and it takes it? No?
No.
Okay, no more.
Yeah, they don't even have. They don't even have
I
UX.
tried like, removing the overlay just to bypass all of it, and they've learned it. I can't even read the context.
Wait, so the only way to close it is to lie to them and tell them I already have the app?
No.
No, that's not even.
You log in.
Oh, whoa, okay, see, I didn't know that.
You're forced to give up your.
Oh, yeah, no, that's messed up. Okay. I didn't see that before. I was just like, what? I just told them to download the app.
This is like an annoying one, I would say. Like one of the more sinister Dark UX that you probably wouldn't even imagine as Dark UX, and that is go. Right? Like you really wouldn't imagine that to be Dark UX, but in my opinion, it is because they collect a lot of data from you. They know exactly your demographics, like what you clicked into, like when did you drop off. So they collect all these data to see money from you, and that is why I think this is Dark UX. And they also they can also target specific users. Like if they notice you spent more money, they're gonna give you a rare item just to get you more engaged. So they really tweak it just based on what action what they take.
I have personal experience with that. They target me for very specific items on Pokemon Go because they know I'm a power user of it. And it works.
I think that's so this is what do you think? So yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
this is
can-
also version, but you can just go over why do you think this is bad?
I always spend money on this. On Candy Crush?
Yeah.
When it first came out, I spent so much money on it.
Yeah, so this is it's kind of when you progress in a game and you're pretty invested in it, it becomes a very habitual game. At that point they'll stick you with that, hey, you better pay me everything or you're gonna lose all your data. So this is loss aversion. So we're getting into more behavior psychology of Dark UX right now. So that's what this is. Big money. Yeah. It's cute. And it's cute and it gives you a sense of false reality where because you're in this virtual world you don't know how much you're spending. So it kind of puts your guard down already. And they also try to confuse you with the exchange rate so you don't know exactly how much one game costs versus the other. So that's another reason why this is bad. Pain points, which is the Quora. It's like a blockage, right? It's just annoying and you want to keep going, so you pay for more lives. So that's his pain point. I would say Quora is using this strategy to get people to sign up.
Awesome. Trying to unveil myself. I can. This is a huge ordeal, actually. I did it. All right. So the big question, why do all of these tactics work? Well, when I was in a psychology class, I came across a phenomenon called the potent mix. And I was like, well, that just sounds like it belongs in chemistry class. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't want to do anything with chemistry. And they were like, no, it's actually psychological based on habit formation and conditioned learning. There are 3 different mixes to form a really strong habit. Each of these rewards can form a habit, but when all 3 are mixed together, it creates the most addicting habits in a human being. It's called the reward of self, the rewards of the hunt, and the rewards of the tribe. We're going to break down that strange language. The rewards of the self, really simply put, we seek gratification, right? We like to feel good about ourselves, and we are going to seek out things that give us that gratification. For reward of self, our most hardwired gratification comes from being a master of someone, of something, or of someone, or of a phenomenon. So we like to know we are good at something. We like to have that safety net of saying, I may not be good at this, but I am good at that. Game mechanics use this immensely. They get people hooked on a variable reward system to prove that you are good at something. So for example, in a game, the goal is to basically control the situation, to dominate the situation, to complete challenges. And that makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we mastered the game. You made it to the end of the game. You beat the game. You're good at the game. I'm a master of the game. This is directly tied to loss aversion. If we don't like losing any progress we make in anything, when we are trying to become good at something, it is a lot harder to walk away. A real world example, work. Right? You're given a project, you work really hard on it, and you're told, scrap it and start over. Technically, you still got paid for it. Technically, they're going to keep paying you more money to finish the project. But a lot of people have a very hard time scrapping a project. Why? It interferes with the reward of self. You are not a master of that project. Because you were asked to scrap it, you're being asked to start over. You must accept your loss. Completely against psychological habituation. The variable reward system, this is the heart of why Hook's model worked. Hook's model, did you mention Hook's model before?
The book.
The book, right. Hook's model was based off of B.F. Skinner's findings of the variable reward system. What he found was it is better to change when you reward someone and never let them know exactly what their reward's going to be. He found this out using mice. If he gave a mouse a piece of cheese for completing a maze, every single time that mouse completed the maze, the second that mouse did not get a piece of cheese for the maze, guess what it did on the second try of the maze? Did nothing. It just sat there. It was mad. But when he trained the mouse to see, maybe it's this time, maybe it's the 3rd time, maybe it's the 5th time, maybe you'll get it on the 6th time, but now you're not going to get it until the 10th time. The mouse was motivated to finish the maze because it had hope. Hope that this is the time the piece of cheese is going to come. That is a variable reward system. So a lot of games use this system to hook you. Kind of like that targeted email when you stop playing, right? It targets how much of a power user you are. It's figuring out you're stopping to play the game. Here's a reward. Don't stop playing. Now you got a reward. Now you're going to be hooked. And you're probably going to continue playing until you get another reward. This is based right off of gambling. This is why gambling is so addictive. Because you might win the next time. You don't know until you try to win the next time. Awesome. The rewards of the hunt. This is like the next level. So we are hardwired to be hunters and gatherers by nature. That's how we survived for eons. This is just how we are. Well, we don't really live in that society anymore, but we still like to hunt for challenges and we still gather information. And some really smart person figured out we still have those habits. We just reallocated them from food and water and berries to information and challenges for our everyday lives. And somebody figured out we're going to utilize that survival habit to create a new habit for other things. We haven't yet broken that innate habit. And what happens is they decided giving us Groupon for food. You're searching for information about your food. You still need to eat. So now you're going to gather information and you're going to hunt for the best deals, which is why you're going to stay on Groupon and find all the coupon combos in the world that anyone can ever try to master. Electronic communication is huge on this. A lot of social media is kind of based on there. If you miss a notification, you might miss an important piece of information. If you miss an important piece of information, you're failing at gathering information. So my example, I get a few texts, Slacks, emails, whatever from my volunteers to look for sponsors. And I am very addicted to responding to who is contacting me right away because it might lead to something awesome for World AA Day. I'm looking for those sponsors, I'm looking for those venues, I'm going to respond to any Slack message I get. Why? Because the hunt begins. I'm searching for information. I need to achieve this hunt goal of a sponsor, right? I'm addicted to it. It's also related to completing side quests in games. That's how they get you a lot too. It's the hunt. We are driven to complete it. We have to search for that information. So that's why we spend fake money and we avoid pain points to keep with the hunt. The last one is the rewards of the tribe. This is probably the most influential of them all because we're hardwired to be a social species. We like gatherings. We're here at a gathering right now. We like doing this. And we did it before and we're going to continue doing it. And there's actually a fun fact, I dug into it a little bit. There are specifically adapted neurons in our brains that respond with dopamine to empathy. This is scientific evidence that we actually need to survive off of empathy. If we don't have empathy, we are not doing a good job of surviving as a human being. I know, right? That's pretty deep with that. Marinate for a second. How does this relate? It's the rewards of the tribe. We like being a part of something bigger. Historically, if we were not part of something bigger, odds are we were not going to make it. So if we're part of something bigger, not only will we survive, but we're accepted. We're going to feel important. We're going to be attractive, and we're going to be included. What does all of that mean? Being accepted means we belong somewhere, and that's very important. If we don't belong somewhere, that means we belong nowhere, and that impacts our identity heavily. We need to feel important, though. It's not good enough to be accepted. We like to feel valued. Again, the reward of self. We like to be a master of something. If we do not have something that we are good at, then we're not important. We're not a valued member of society. To be attractive, we want just because we're part of a group, we still want to meet other people. We always want to keep that attraction going. And then just feeling included altogether. If you're valued and you're important and you're accepted, then you're going to be included in things, which means you're part of something bigger than yourself. Social media and online gaming utilizes this all the time. I can't tell you how many last-minute Destiny, like impromptu fights that I have gone to just because someone sent me a PS message saying, Jesse, we really need you, and I'm like, I'm there. So I'll go online and I do what I gotta do, and then my team wins, and then I feel like a valued member of society, even though I really wasted 2 hours of my life.
And I will vouch for that, because I can hear it from her going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is what happens all the time. So we're gonna put it all together. The crazy part about this is dark habits don't form new habits, they actually pry on our most intrinsic, hardwired old habits. Someone figured out when they started making dark patterns, those are the 3 things that motivate us, and those are the 3 things they're going to utilize because those are the 3 hardest habits to break. And in truth, we haven't broken them, so that's what they're going to utilize. And of course, whatever uses the combo of those 3 becomes super habit forming and super addicting. Some examples include Facebook. I mean, everyone was Facebooking. What other examples of the ones that use all 3? I would argue Halo is probably one of them. When Halo was in the raid, Pokemon Go, they are super addicting, super habit formation. I know because I still play Pokemon Go and I still spend money on it. So
Clash of Clans. Basically, a lot of these things, they like take advantage of it. A lot of things.
yeah. So what do? We still have to figure it out. I love this quote. I heard it on a podcast, and I really think it speaks to these 3 habits. The quote says, the fundamental problem of humanity that we as a species have to figure out is that we have a Paleolithic emotions, we have medieval institutions, and we have godlike technology. What does that mean? It means habit forming, how we learn. We are still in the Paleolithic era. We still value those three things. If anyone can utilize those three habits, the reward of self, the reward of the hunt, and the reward of the tribe, that's still very Paleolithic. Medieval institutions, so we've kind of evolved, but we're not evolved enough to the state where we can handle really, really complex problems because of our Paleolithic emotions. We haven't gotten there yet. And then godlike technology. Our technology has surpassed our abilities as a culture, as a human species, to really keep up with it. It is capable of utilizing all three of those things without most people even knowing it. So a part of UX and design in general is how do we balance all those three? Knowing technology is very powerful, knowing we have social institutions and businesses that are going to kind of fend for themselves and want to drive their own missions, knowing that humans emotionally in their minds have not really evolved from that Paleolithic state. How do we be responsible designers? Thank you. That's the end of it.
Are there examples where you were presented with the opportunity to use Dark UX and you were like, no, that's bad, you can't do that?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, this is where, like, you know, like, the business side will argue against you. So when that happens, obviously, you already know. You give them the options, like, you let them know. This is bad, this is good. Which one do you want to take? So if you feel conflicted, let someone else choose it, but design it, you know.
So I would say that sometimes it's never like a very hard black and white dark UX thing, but it's more like the business wants to collect all this information about you, but the user doesn't want to provide that much information for you yet, right? So the balance of like how much information you provide to that's always a struggle that we have to have as designers. Because no matter what you do, whether it's a game or not, there's always forms that you're always designing for, and there's always like user paths. Like you want people to go a certain way. So like at Patient Pop, I also work at Patient Pop with Jesse. So like there's this onboarding form like we get for like providers, practices come to our site and they want to sign up, and we have to get all this information from them so we can actually create a website for them, right? But we have to walk them through making sure, we collect this information about your providers, this information about your locations, all your profiles, all your social media stuff, everything about what insurances you have, but they might not have that much time to sit there for 2 hours and write all that stuff out. So it's like, how do you give them that little carrot, right? Maybe part of it is like making them think that, they'll miss out if they don't fill this section out. Or maybe, some other thing that will,
What does that say about like the longevity of these companies that do these little gimmicks? Like, does it make it less of a likelihood that they're going to be in the market because people are just going to get frustrated with the fact that they just spent a ton of money?
No,
Is that?
I don't think so. It's gambling. Like, casinos still exist. Like, if you get rid of casinos, then these games can go away, right? I would say.
Once it becomes habit, it becomes part of your lifestyle. And then you don't want to give it up anymore. And that's how they trick you.
Well, that's why we have addictive gambling.
Yeah.
You have online game addiction.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I think, internet addiction is also like
It's rising.
It's an actual
Thing.
diagnosed disease now, recognized by the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
The disease control, yeah, it's actually listed as an actual condition that you might have. The fear of missing out is a real thing. Always being online, people actually get jitters and withdrawal if you disconnect and go camping for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I do. But I can't say that it'll go away. I don't.
They'll probably just have new forms, like.
Yeah, that's what
Like
Yeah.
Farmville, I don't think Farmville, they had like many varieties of like the same game, just in different graphics. But they still follow like the same type of behavioral models.
And it works if they just put a new face on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before it was like Warcraft, then you have World of Warcraft, then you have League of Legends, then you have, I don't know, I kind of lost track after that. I mean, there's every new game or interface or app or service that's out there utilizes some form of these tactics.
But how do you know which ones are actually using these tactics and which ones are just like fun by nature? Like people get hooked because that's just in their nature. How do you discern between the ones that are using these dark?
That's a little hard because every human is different. Like, we naturally are inclined to like or dislike certain things. It's really based on the reward of self, actually. What do we want to be a master of? If you're not into gaming, you are not going to get addicted from gaming. Like, that's just how it is. You're going to find something else to be a master of. Right? So it does depend on, to some extent, on the individual. On a larger extent, I think it just depends on what's in style, right? We want to be members of the tribe. We want to be included. So we are going to pick something or other to be part of, something greater. If that happens to be something that can be addicted to, then you are unfortunately in that situation from a business standpoint. Some people never signed up for Facebook, but they felt the social pressure to sign up just because all their friends were on it, but they themselves did not want to be on it. That's a form of reward of tribe.
I would also say that one way you can discern whether it's, good or bad is whether or not you as a user have the control or ways to escape out of it. So if you can say, oh, I don't want to share my privacy, there's a way for you to, not be trapped into that cycle, that path that they want you to take. Because I would say dark patterns is they want you to go this way and share all your data or whatever, or take this path that they want to do. But if you can choose to escape out of whatever they're trying to make you do, then the power's on you, and you're not no longer pulled into that path that they want you to take.
And I guess like the ability to unplug, like with these games, it's the Candy Crush. I got stuck on that like years back, but yeah, you don't want to stop, and then it says, oh, you ran out of, I don't even know what the currency was. It's something ridiculous, like popsicles. Anyway, but yeah, that's, I guess you kind of have to be alert to that stuff.
I read this article recently. It's about the UX of porn sites. It somehow showed up on my feed. And I was like, because, I don't know.
You know that porn is at the forefront of UX, okay?
It is.
At the forefront of technology, UX, everything. The internet was created by porn.
Wait.
There's no shame.
For porn.
For porn. But the thing is, like, I think it's because I was looking up dark patterns, and so the article had a lot about, like, how we keep, like, porn sites have, like, a certain UX or layout framework that works really well, and that's why multiple different sites have the same type of, I guess, experience, right? Because they have like ways for you to continue like looking at like pictures and GIFs and all that stuff to make you feel more engaged and spend more time on the site. So they have these things like, it's not really information seeking because you're not really looking for information, but they give you like teasers to make you continue more and be more engaged with the site. So like that's one way, I guess that's a dark pattern because they make you, I don't know, stay on porn sites.
Reward of self, we want gratification for our efforts.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
We just went that way. But okay, to bring it more clean, right, there's also ways that they, not porn sites, but going back to Dropbox, right? Like when you share your documents out to people, you can inherently like release your email address to public, right? Because say, oh, I'm planning this event, right? Like all of these events, I tend to use Dropbox paper and say, oh, I want to share this with Jesse only. But then if that email gets linked out to say on Twitter or whatever, and then that anyone who goes onto that Dropbox paper, they can also see all the emails and people who have comments and viewed that Dropbox paper. It is an actual privacy setting.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what's been happening?
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this. It just came up on my feed again the other day. So I gotta reiterate, like, do I want to do Dropbox paper or should I go back to Google Docs?
But you just paid for it.
I know.
No, it's called lossy version of, hey, I paid for it and I don't want to lose this money.
Lost the version, yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
What other stories do you guys have? Frustrating things.
It's more on the periphery, but like, I think it's interesting how in gaming circles, especially mobile gaming circles, like there's like a whole culture revolving around these dark patterns. For example, mobile games, you know, like when they use that variable schedule, there's people like people make memes and they have whole discussions about, yeah, I didn't get this character, or oh, I didn't get this reward, and I spent like $500 on like this app alone. It's really interesting to see how, you know, there's like this whole culture just arising out of that, and how some companies are actually kind of profiting off of that. Like, I remember there's this article I read where they claim that there's this one game, if any of y'all know Fate Grand Order, it's one of like the biggest mobile games internationally right now. And they were talking about how like the people over there made an entire brand off of making fun of their own users for like spending all this money, like whining, no, I didn't get this character, and then using that on social media to encourage them to pay more, essentially.
It's like a dangling it, rubbing it into their face.
Literally.
No, I must get it.
Yeah.
The reward of the hunt.
Yeah, and then I know that with 10 years ago, when World of Warcraft first came out, they had a lot of like fan sites created around World of Warcraft, and they had like market currencies and schedules around it so that people could buy gold from other players. And then, you know, that currency is valued to US dollars, and then people just like under the whatever way they just exchange money that way. So I was like, going back to the fan sites, the whole like collection, I want to do all of it. I want to collect all of this information. I want to get every equipment that my character wants for my level 60, I don't know, thing. Yeah.
I didn't know that you could buy money for money.
You can. I mean, there were people in prison in China farming gold so they can be selling that, and then the Chinese government gets that money. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, they made jobs, so.
It was a job as an inmate. You're in a gaming lab.
Oh, so the inmate didn't even get the money?
No.
They're making it for some. Oh,
they're making it for the government or whoever is making them. Yeah.
If you're surprised about that, boy, do I have things to tell you about the American prison system.
You might as well tell more.
Well, it's not dark UX, it's just dark labor, but or dark capitalism, more put it that
Are
way.
you talking about the prison industrial complex?
Yes.
Oh.
But bringing it back to dark UX, I have an example. So I think, don't want to get too political, but if you notice how YouTube has autoplay videos, someone has actually tested with specific keywords that you enter into the search and you watch a video. 3 videos later, it'll take you to the alt-right dark hole of YouTube videos because they're using the same keywords, like hashtag keywords in their video descriptions so that it can target people looking at like unrelated videos. So for the example word that this person mentioned was like rats. So they were looking at like a video of like a documentary about rats or something because they were showing it in their science class, and they left the autoplay on, and then 3 videos later it was like I don't even remember, it was like some sort of fake news like Breitbart video about how like their political enemies are rats. Because they would put rats in the description. So that's kind of an example of dark UX where YouTube's not really doing anything to take down videos that violate their terms and conditions, but not only that, they're encouraging it, and they know that it's an issue, they just choose not to do anything substantial about it.
What about their ads too? Like I got these ads for like Prager University, I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but it's basically this Republican alternate. Sorry if anybody's Republican, but like alternate university where they basically counter everything that is illogical and they like gear it towards like their political agenda. It's this insane thing that a lot of Breitbart people are part of, and it's kind of creepy.
So another related thing, you know how Gangnam Style was like the fastest, like the video with the racking up the fastest number of views within 24 hours. So I think this, I forgot what country he was in. I think it might have been Middle Eastern, but this guy basically exploited YouTube's algorithm by showing snippets of his music videos as this music video he just released as part of an ad. So a lot of people saw the ad and it actually counted towards the music video view count. So his video actually beat Gangnam Style as the most viewed music video within 24 hours because so many people saw it through the targeted ads that he put out, to the point where YouTube now made a new policy saying that music videos who like get their view count through ads, it doesn't count towards their view count anymore because it's not legitimate or organic. So that's another way of exploiting YouTube's dark UX practices that's topical.
That was a huge interference in the hunt. Like mega interference. Wow, that would motivate me so much.
Actually, to add on to that, because I was actually reading about the same topic just yesterday, New York Times has a really good in-depth article about how UX and AI affect YouTube, like going down the YouTube hole. But I think they said that one of the reasons that happened was because they changed their algorithm to include what's called reinforcement AI. So rather than saying you watch a cat video and they introduce different cat videos that you might like, they'll say, okay, you like cat videos, that means you might like this video too. And then they'll keep playing those videos over and over, and that's how you end up with 2 hours on YouTube, and you start with a cooking video, trying to make an omelet, and you end up watching a video that's top 5 reasons you should buy X product. So there's that too.
Information gathering.
Yeah. Well, that's also the reason why you have a lot of those scrolling news sites like BuzzFeed. You go to like article after article. You don't have actually end the end. You don't actually reach the end of the page because they would tease you with another article right afterwards, and it just continues.
Or like Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Like Reddit has endless scrolling.
Oh, and Pinterest too.
Oh, Pinterest is the worst on that.
Yeah.
Always interfering in what I'm trying to look for.
I hate when they make you log in before you can view the pin. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to see the link to buy this cute outfit. I don't want a Pinterest account. I'm not trying to pin it. I'm trying to buy it.
Yeah.
Speaking of old school dark UX patterns, anyone remember Soldier Boy and how like he would trick people into listening to his music by like renaming it to a popular song on like LimeWire? And people get it, they don't get that song, they get Soldier Boy.
Okay.
The Rickroll.
Well, they do that a lot. Like for a lot, all of the pirate movies or episodes or dramas I try to watch on YouTube, right? They would at first like name it as something, but then the actual video is basically go to this link in the title or description, and then you could go watch stuff. I don't know, videos that's downloaded on another site. Yeah. But I don't know if that's UX, that's just trickery.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really tempting because sometimes like you really want to watch this one movie and you can't find it anywhere. It's like, should I?
Yeah. Because I'm too cheap to buy it.
Would you guys consider manipulative copywriting for UX design? Like, I know I've tried to unsubscribe from like newsletters before. The best ones are you just click unsubscribe. And then there was one last week where to unsubscribe I had to actually email the company, which is kind of ridiculous. You don't really see anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's like a third one where when I clicked unsubscribe, I got a pop-up dialogue and it says, "Are you sure you're not gonna hear about like be like the coolest person or up to date on all these like all this
Yes.
stuff?"
Yeah. Shaming.
Yeah.
Oh, that's shaming.
Yeah, that's
shaming
shaming.
to
Yeah.
like keeping the subscription.
I had one where like a couple of years back, I got approached on the college campus for like, it was like a Save the Children, or it was some like charity organization, and then like I was just trying to get to class, but they were like nonstop in my face with the iPad, and they're like, oh, do you want to just like donate like $10 a year? And I'm like, there's no one around me to like run to, so like I was kind of like coerced into it, and I was like, okay, whatever, and I kind of forgot about it, but then. Like each month I would get like billed or something. I was like, what is this? And then I would get email newsletters. But then I couldn't, I tried to like go online, but there was actually no way to, because I didn't even like register for an account. They just had my credit card information. So like I was getting emails, but I didn't have an account, so I couldn't like unsubscribe from this online. I had to actually like go and like find their number like deep down in their database and then call them, and they like put me on hold for like 20 minutes. And then just to say like, hey, like I don't want to, and they're like, oh, are you sure? And then like, okay. And then like I thought I had unsubscribed, and then like I was still getting like these emails, and then I checked, but I wasn't getting like billed anymore, so I had to call them again just to tell them to stop sending me emails. So like this, I mean, kind of reminded me of that. It's just like you're getting trapped, and there's like no way out, and it's like super annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, like,
it's a tactic.
yeah, what's the name of that one?
Roche Motel.
The what?
Roche Motel.
Oh yeah. But like, so usually it's like hard to find, but this was like, you actually like had to like jump over like a ton of hoops just to do it. Like, as opposed to like finding like a really small like 4-size font and subscribe.
Yeah. A lot of companies, they make it super easy for you to sign up and register. But then for you to actually close or sign out or deactivate or get rid of the app makes it so hard. You have to like dig to like settings to close or get out of Facebook. They want you to be always logged in. You have to find a way to log out, right? And you know that with that story that you just told, um, they target a lot of also like elderly people too, because like for like say my mom, she's like 69 this year, and for some reason she got tricked into signing up for one of those free credit reports, right? And then somehow she signed up for it, and I'm like, why is this charge coming up on my credit card bill? Because apparently her iPad has my payment information saved, because daughter that I am, I gave her my credit card information saved on my iPad. So anyway, she got signed into this thing, and then like for some reason it shows up on my credit card bill 6 months later. I didn't really check, and then I was like, wait, how did you get this? And then she's like, I don't know, something, and then we're like, we have to figure out what we don't even know what the password is to sign in. Didn't even know that there was an account that was created. So yeah, just try to get out of that. And then also, like, if you try to cancel out of like cable, that's also horrible too. Because they make you like, oh, we'll just give you some more months free, or like you want to downgrade to a different plan. And then
Just give me the damn thing.
I know, I just want to get rid of it. That's a good one too.
Oh, I hate that.
He's like the one where you sign up and then they ask you like,
Spam all your friends.
do you want to like connect all your friends, see who's
Yeah.
on LinkedIn or see who's on Facebook, and
Yeah.
then you kind of.
Yeah, and then they sent all your friends. I never encountered that one before, so.
You
I
haven't?
encounter it all the
No, I
time.
haven't.
Like universities, I feel like are really notorious for that.
When Facebook's first started, sorry, I'm dating myself. They kind of like make you import like log in with a certain account, and then it connects. They like mine all of your friends or your contacts when you log in, and then they say, oh yeah, do you want to add them to your, like, all right, I guess. And you had no idea that you at that moment you were actually sending them invites to join whatever the thing that you just joined. I think it was LinkedIn at the time. Maybe it was Facebook.
When I did Postmates, they told you, oh, if you refer enough friends, you get like a certain dollar amount, like $300 for referring like a certain amount of friends.
Yeah.
So I feel like those companies do that a lot.
Yeah, same thing with Lyft and Uber. If you refer a friend, you rope them into.
Yeah.
Is there a difference though between like incentivizing that? Because like obviously they're trying to expand their network, and there's nothing wrong with that to like refer to a friend. They're not like forcing you to.
They're not
So,
forcing
like,
you, but they're forcing your friends to like. Well, you're kind of forcing your friends to be part of that. They're like, why did I just get this message from Lyft? I don't even do that. Like,
I mean, I'm just curious. Like, I kind of you had the similar question. Like, where's the line drawn
Oh, I
between like an incentive of like just advancing like normal interests? Like, oh, I'm not trying to trap you into anything, but I'm trying to have you tell your friends about it, and then like they don't have to, they don't get a penalty for it, and they're not even getting pestered. But there's always the option of like it's really easy to access.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, remember the first slide you had with the misdirection with the green button?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it goes back to this one. It's like, well, do they offer you a way out, right? Are they trying to move your attention elsewhere to make you think otherwise or to go a certain path? That's where I think the line goes. Like one thing, you can choose to invite your friends with a certain link, but you have to go out of your way to do it. Oh yeah, I want to invite my sister, make sure she can get, $5, I can get $5, and it'll be like, awesome, great. But then the other way could be like, they make you like in the path of like finishing your ride or whatever. They make you, oh yeah, before you finish your ride, do you wanna like, add other people to this thing, or like that's the point where they're trying to force you to do something when you weren't expecting it, and that's where they call it dark. Yeah. So now you guys know dark patterns. We can use it wisely, like to actually make people fill out forms, because I have to deal with that every
Or you
day.
can use it this way.
Or you can use it that way.
Just say.
No, this was really well designed. Like, I have to tip my hat to whoever made this. Like, this is really good.
And they're not lying. Like
Yeah.
the best part about this, I guess, is like they're not lying to you. You're clearly clicking select all and confirm, but you're banking on the fact that people assume.
Yeah, the structure of this is like cookie settings, but then your eyes don't really see that red heading. It's more like red button. Everybody wants to press the red button no matter what it says.
That's also so that's like that's like the warning, like, hey, I'm against this, but but I'm also doing a good job on this.
Yeah. So like when you use your words, like the labels and the headings, like those are ways that, even though it's not like the components, like, oh yeah, the buttons or whatever, but how you word things, how you label it, and the words that you use are different ways that you can entice people to continue or feel shamed, like you were saying, or to be directed a certain way.
I feel like with the currency, I noticed that a long time ago since I went to like Dave and Buster's, like it used to just, you put money into like play arcades, and then they switched to this card thing where you have to get a card. And then I, being the nerd, would always be like, oh, like this is like 100 points, and I have to put like $1 on my card. Okay, it's like a penny per point. And then like, oh, 500 points. It's like, you put like, it costs like $4.50. I'm like, okay, the math is a little harder. And then the more they go, they like start having obscure like 3,029 points. It's gonna cost you like $8.25. I'm like, okay, screw the math. That's probably a better deal. Like, and then so, but they started. I remember them doing that with like arcades, and before virtual stuff. Well, I guess video games kind of virtual, but and arcades in real life.
Yeah. Also for that picture, that this one, like the biggest, most expensive bundle is like huge. Like it's like way bigger than all the
But
others.
it's the best deal.
Yeah, clearly spending $100.
Look how many free gems you get.
You don't want this one.
Yeah, it looks puny. This one looks amazing.
And especially if you get kids playing this game, oh man. So that's actually just it. We're just spending the rest of our time telling stories.